Welcome back. You're now watching the lifestyle segment of the weekend show. Before we delve into the topic at hand, an addendum to what Tudiri said on the sports segment is that Samson Siasia would actually be addressing a press conference at 12 p.m. today. So stay tuned to AIT to get an update on that situation about his FIFA ban. Today, our topic on the lifestyle segment is salary etiquette. An employer-employee relationship is a contractual relationship whereby the employer agrees to provide his or her services and skills in furtherance of the employer's business, who in turn agrees to pay a giving amount, which is called a salary, to the employee for his or her services on a monthly basis. In Nigeria, it is not uncommon that employees in both the public and private sectors are being owed many months of salaries. Joining us to discuss this topic, we have
with us in the studio Honorable Uche Ekwe, former member of the House of Representatives between 1999 to 2003. He is also the head of Department, International Relations and Liaison Officer to the National Assembly. Welcome to the weekend show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure having you on here. Section 7, subsection 1 of the labor law clearly states that within 3 months of a contractual agreement between an employer and an employee, there should be a legal document which states that he or she is compensated. Does this then hinder, or does this promote workers or employers to pay salaries on time? Have you found this to be true and effective in both the private and the public sector?
Well, the fact remains that some employers will want to renege or disobey this act, this part of the law. But the good part is that there is a good or relatively good legal instrument upon which the unions now fight the attempt by some employers not to obey the rules and pay salaries. And it's increasingly the attitude of many employers. They're already bringing all sorts of tactics to try to cause this. Some time ago, after long negotiations, which many people didn't know has been going on, with the MTN in particular, we have to take a national action against them. Because what they do, they are trying to exploit, what employers are doing is, in a situation that there are so many people looking for jobs. The job opportunities are low, so they try to take advantage. Some are callous to give people 1 month as a way to circumvent the law. That is increasing the casualization process, which is a way to run away from that law holding them accountable. These individuals, of course, are weak before these people. They want to survive in the immediate, so they accept anything. Now, of course, part of the ways to engage this is, which is the essence of even union in the first place, is to try to bring the people together, give them a voice where they can say, no, we need to work under certain rules set by the country. The situation have gotten worse where that's the new trend right now.
Has gotten worse.
Yes, with some private employers in particular, and even so, especially some of the so-called expatriates that are coming in. It's gotten worse that they are bringing very unethical approach to this, getting people to sign up front that they won't belong to a union before they get the job. So when you're approaching the worker knows it's not getting the best. but some have signed agreement, and they won't bring it out, because if they do, the law is opposed to that. Though we're stepping from this trend, we might be approaching the National Assembly to know the laws we can bring in to punish anybody who gets somebody to sign such. Because it means you are saying the person is declaring an abandonment of his fundamental human rights.
But interestingly, when we talk about salary ethics and the likes, most people focus on government. But the truth of the matter is that you have a large private sector in the country. And like you have said, it's now a norm where you see people being owed salaries for 3 to 10 months, even in private businesses. And then the same organizations are sponsoring big events. You see the same employers traveling out of the country, living lavish lifestyles. Now, we have the labor laws, but how many employers are even aware that there are certain laws which restrict them from maltreating staff and abandoning payments of salaries? And also, beyond the Corporate Affairs Commission, where you register a company, how come nothing has been put in place saying if you can't pay salaries past 3 months, your company would be shut down? So are we having realistic laws to protect the rights of employers?
Yeah, I must say it's not about the laws, it's about the enforcement. The laws we have now can give protection up to 80% to the working people. Well, you know, I just mentioned some new tactics of blocking. We understand. First, let me clear about whether the employers know. They know. As a matter of fact, it is the deep knowledge of what the law contains that is making them devise new tactics. Bear in mind, some of these are multinational companies, and they know that most of the labor laws are internationally driven, because most of the laws are from ILO conventions, and it is applicable across the globe. And they compare notes. These employers compare notes. For example, and I keep using the MTN example because it's a classical of a company that's making so much money and still is still unwilling to treat its workers right. Recently, we had a meeting. There's what we call the trilateral, which is between, it's now quadrilateral. It's a relationship between the Nigerian Labour Congress, COSATU of South Africa, Ghana TUC, and the Kenya Trade Union Center. You know, because we know that international capital compare notes on the ways to cheat the employees. So we know we also need our own international links to also understand what approach they are using across. The major lessons we picked about MTN being based in South Africa came from the South African unions in the meetings of about 3 years ago. They actually was concerned about our pushing and working together to fight for this. And part of the information they gave us was that when they tried to push for an improvement in their salary and wage and welfare structure, the people will say, look, you earn better than the people in Nigeria and you make more money in Nigeria, so why are you making trouble? So recently, if you had wanted to travel, say fly BA or Lufthansa, you may have gotten a note from them. They sent mails to say, look, our meals might not be as it used to be. This is because of a global fight against them about the treatment they give to the catering services within the plane. You know, that's why I say it's not about lack of knowledge. It's about clear attempt by financial
shortchange,
capitals
exactly,
to shortchange.
And I'm so happy you mentioned that, because Nigerians are always getting the short end of the stick. You also said previously that it's not just about the laws, but being able to implement them, being able to enforce them. And this just brings to mind, my personal experience flying BA. I had to give the air hostess at a time a piece of my mind. I usually never do that, but I had to give her a piece of my mind because the way she even spoke to the Nigerians on board. And I wondered, I'm like, if those of us who are even flying this class can be treated like this, can you imagine the people all the way at the back? They're probably dropping the food on their head and saying you should be grateful that we are serving you.
After charging so much.
After charging so much money, so Nigerians are always getting the short end of the stick from their employers, from people that are even paying for services. So I wonder, the people who are watching this now and have been owed 3 months' salary, 6 months' salary, in fact, I heard of a case where somebody is owed a year and a half salary. How do they go about holding their employer accountable? How do they go about being remunerated for the job or compensated for the job that they're actually carrying out in both the public and private sector?
Most times, it was part of the altercation we nearly had in the last program. What people see us, the only time people see the NLC walking, as if maybe there is a national strike. But I can tell you, these things, we're engaging them on everyday basis. There is a whole lot of battle happening every day, every other day, until it gets to our neck, where, like I gave an example, people were, some people were even calling, why are you shutting down all the facilities of MTN? People are being too harsh. You are blocking them from working. People are earning a living. But for 5 years, these people have been approaching them. Somebody have worked for, like the law you read, is to stop casualization. If you work 3 months, you should have a paper.
Contract, exactly.
6 months, you'll be confirmed. Now, what this will do is by 3 months they terminate.
And do a fresh recruitment.
So they circumvent the law. So you see somebody have been working in this organization for 7 years. I have been working 3 months, 2 months. The implications, it's not just that it's owed. He has no retirement benefit, no job security, and all this. And, we've engaged our government from time to time to say, look, some of this is not even the union. We are doing both your work and ours. Because the law puts it that your duty is to protect the citizenry of this country. And some foreigners can come and do new form of enslavement. And because they have linkages, very powerful within the system. Because I remember that we had a running battle sometime with Airtel, which made them have a little bit better improvement. And let me tell you, I can say it here, that part of the challenge during that push was that we were told that, that was about 6-7 years ago, that the security system uses Airtel network. And for that, it can be shut down. And we're like, and so what? So the Airtel now should have a license to now enslave citizens because the security system used their network.
But in the same light, sir, just to add to what you are saying, it also has been reported that labor unions also get payoffs to step down some of this some of these moves to counter this enslavement, in your word, by the employers. And so, say the labor unions want to take up this fight and say, this is what you're doing and it's wrong, they could get paid off to step down that protest. So while people at the top, government, as you may not say it as government, even the labor unions who are meant to protect the people are also guilty of the same issue of conniving with employers.
Well, we hear that every day, but I'm just giving you some practical examples of fights. I can't be bold to say them here if I'm paid off to step it down.
Of course.
So, because I know those people are watching, and I can look at their face and say, we have this engagement. Taking not away, there could be an instance, not to our knowledge. Because first, remember, when you say the labor unions, let me tell you part of the ways it can happen. Because we understand these things. You know, unions start from, let's say, the AIT. It's supposed to have a structure of, say, the NUJ and the Ratao. This your internal structure starts the build-up. Of course, along the line, they might get stuck because of their own capacity expected, because they're working here. They escalate it, so that people understand how this thing works. They escalate it to probably the FCT chapter, or in a state chapter of either Ratao or NUJ. Maybe at the local branch, it might not even be money. It might be fear of the management. So who will know how this thing works? It might just be fear. They can't give that push to escalate it to how the state will know. Maybe at the state level of the union, if they do, might not have the courage to move it to even their national. So at times, it doesn't even get to, because we can, in some occasion, intervene directly. But by the process, it gets to the NLC through the union. Are you getting the point? The internal union is supposed to start some years back. The Guardian, and I want to use the media, because the media, with all due respect,
it's also notorious.
Notorious. In fact, they are one of the worst when it comes to employees' compensation in this country. Very bad case. One of our newspapers couldn't survive in South Africa because he wanted to give people the same treatment they give here. They have to get them out of that country. So it's embarrassing. But you see, we have a limit as NLC to what we can push until the...
You know, I'm glad you mentioned this structure, because I asked previously, and you didn't answer directly, about how people who are watching, who have been owed so many months of salaries, how they can get compensation for that. During my research, I saw that they can actually sue their employers. They can actually sue government, but with this structure of fear and intimidation...
No, not... even the, you know... because you don't want the worker to go that route. Because first, it's owed salary. He or she will need a lawyer. Where does he even get the money? And the employer can decide to shut him or her out. And he stayed another 6 years to get judgment. You know, which, that's why the workers from, that's why union came. Union came as from the fact, in the most civilized world, from the fact that the worker knows that individually he cannot engage. And that's why you can see the union keep amalgamating, moving up, and the issue when you hear the solidarity song, that's the need of it, that in working together, we can fight these big powers. There are so many other issues. Okay, for example, you know, when the one I mentioned about the airline and the service people, you know, the caterers that are providing the food, it was actually, that battle started with Lufthansa, food people, between the German workers, because even, you can see such a big country, the catering service people in the airline were being casualized and doesn't have a guaranteed working structure or compensation structure. So they started a struggle that they should have a union, that they want to join the union. They want to be in the union so that the union negotiate. And what the Lufthansa management was doing is to be dodgy about it, to say, oh, we are not directly in charge of the food. Some people, because they know there's a way to dodge the responsibility. Now, these workers and the American workers of Lufthansa teamed up with the centers. They have escalated from the air transport union to the big centers to now do 2 days of engagement. They even contacted us, because we work together with the American Solidarity Center. So they contacted us and said, look, we are seeking global solidarity on this. Can the air transport workers here? So we informed them, we said, yes, even our own air transport people are at the immediate, engaging them also on the issue of, because those catering services are people from here. So there was then a global action. It's that action that is going on. That's why those who traveled this week, they were telling them we are sorry.
Even last week, for the past 3 weeks.
You might not get the food.
And they say it's just on their London to Abuja route, and their
because here we now join because these other people are beginning negotiations.
Yes, but I'm sure Nigerians watching, I'm sure this is the least of their problem, flying to London. They're talking about
it's not about their flight.
Yes, one
it's
second.
Not about
yes,
their
but
flight.
they're talking about
the workers. Because the point I'm making, the workers, I'm trying to show you the international nature of it.
Exactly.
The workers working inside there, they are not the issue of they are just workers too.
But there's an issue
just like
here.
the worker, anybody watching two of you here believes you don't have any working issues.
Yeah, but let me bring it back a little bit. So sometime last year, Budget reported that over 10 states are owing workers' salaries from 1 month to as much as 38 months. And then you see some state governors also. That was over last year. Sorry, and this is let me just come to the topic. And this was last year, that at least 10 states. But you now have state governments where salaries are now being paid, but they are slashed by up to 50%. And so whether you pay or not, the fact that you're paying them 50% below their salaries, you still owe them. Exactly. So you're not owing, which is why it can go as high as 20 months and the likes. What steps should our viewers at home who are experiencing this take?
Well, first is that the numbers are not correct. By 2015,
okay,
we had about 15 states, some at 23 months, 18 months. That's where the issue of the bailout started.
Yes.
I'm so sorry, I just have to interject. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll continue the conversation, but we're going to open up the phone lines. So if your state governor is owing, call in and tell us. If your private employers are owing, call in and tell us. Let's name and shame them, and hopefully find a solution to the issue of the ongoing salary delay in Nigeria in both the public and private sector. We'll take a short break right now. When we return, more on The Weekend Show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. We're talking about salary etiquette on the lifestyle segment of The Weekend Show. The number to call to share in your opinions and your experience is 080-537-89021. 080-537-89021. Sir, before we went on break, you were talking about some of the states that were owing salaries, and you were giving us the breakdown of that and what the solution is to prefer to those state governors. Can you continue with that train of thought?
You know, it's really, really a shame what the state governments are doing. Unfortunately, all sorts of politics is driven into it when these push start coming. Thank God, now the elections are over, so people have to face the real issues of governance on our part. we will keep engaging them. Some states, if you cast your mind back, we had a running battle at Imo State, and at the end of the day, got some sanity there. No, we didn't achieve everything, but a level of sanity came, and the salaries, we had a running battle. There was about, sometime we about almost 1 week. We shut down our own office and moved down to Nasarawa State. Along the line, we got some sanity. And
but in the past, we used to see nationwide strikes. We used to see statewide strikes.
Yeah.
And they seem to have worked in the 90s. What has changed now?
You see, when you talk about, we have had statewide strike because it is a bit difficult. What you can get is like we had a 1-2 day solidarity strike against the states. Because, for example, a governor will reach out to us and say, why should I suffer when I'm updated with my salaries? It's not owing. For example, if you take Jigawa State is updated. You know, we try to show this so that people will know that we are not only attacking those who are not updated. It's updated. Pension, gratuity, salaries, they are fine. And remember, they are not the best of states when it comes to remuneration. So if you shut down everywhere because some other places are not owing. And when you are doing that, remember, you have maybe organizations who are updated with their salaries. You are saying you are shutting them down because one state government is rascally not paying or have mismanaged the fund.
But is the salary
structure
also an issue? Because I remember a state governor who is alleged to be owing 10-month salary said that the state is only in charge of the MDAs and the ministries, departments and agencies, and the state parastatals are meant to be paid by the local government. Is this a valid argument? So if the local government is owing, how do workers then differentiate? And where do they then place the blame? And who do they hold accountable?
Those are cheap arguments from a chief executive of a state. you are governing a state, and you're actually saying, because people take advantage of ignorance of the people. You are saying, I am the governor of the state. Well, I pay those in the state structure. All other part of my state can shut down. Does it make sense?
No, it doesn't.
So any governor that is pulling up that argument is just enjoying the fact that people don't understand.
Okay, sorry, I have to interject. We have a caller. Your name and where you're calling from? I can't hear you. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Dominic. I'm calling from Bible.
Okay, what's your contribution to the conversation?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, but turn down your TV set, please.
My name is Dominic. I am calling from a Bible.
Okay, Dominic from Ekwe, what's your contribution to the conversation?
Okay, I hope you can hear me now. Okay, I agree completely with what your guest is saying there. I agree completely with him. The foreign companies in Nigeria are very much conniving with our Nigerian counterparts to enslave Nigerians. I want to give you a practical example. If you go to Etiquette in Akwa Ibom State now, there is a multinational company there, ExxonMobil. They are more or less turning Nigerians to slaves, to the active connivance of our Nigerian government. If you go to the aviation unit, airstrip, along Etiquette or road in Etiquette, you will see a set of their workers sitting opposite the airstrip. These guys had been in court with the company for 18 good years. They were employed to secure the lives of personnel and properties of the company. Along the line, they were shifted to the Nigerian police. It became a legal issue for 18 good years from the High Court to the Supreme Court. They won. On the 20th of April last year, Supreme Court gave a unanimous decision that these guys were employed by the company and that they should pay them all their entitlements which they have been paying their employees right from the day they were employed. That judgment was given on the 20th of April last year, 2018. Now, on the 13th of July that same year, 580 of these guys were called for a meeting, both in Etiquette, One, and in Lagos, where ExxonMobil have their operations. They were all called out for a meeting. At that meeting, they tricked them, that the company tricked them to say that they have accepted them as their employees and that they were going to implement the court judgment. But before you know it, as they were going back to their beat, they were all locked out.
Wow.
Locked out. You can verify this. There were 508 of them. Sani Falana is their counsel. They were all locked out as thieves. Most of them have served the companies for up to 35 years, 30 years. The least is 16 years. 508. Initially, the case started with about 890 of them.
It's really very sad to hear this. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just need you
like
to.
I need of them.
Dominic, can you hear me?
They were locked out.
Yes, yes.
They went on a looter for more than 2 months. ExxonMobil headquarters in Victoria Island was blocked by these guys.
Yes, so I will need you to quickly summarize your point because government is listening. We also have a representative of the Nigerian Labour Congress here as well. So what solution would you like to be preferred to this issue? What's your demand to government and all the people that are watching?
What I'm saying...
The guy giving the information, that's what they...
Okay, so I think you want to say something about what he's saying. I saw you nodding in agreement, which means this is a known situation.
No, it's one of the painful things. For example, you can hear a case have gone to the Supreme Court. And the judgment is given.
Exactly. That's why I wanted him to round up because as the Supreme Court, they say after God is the Supreme Court. Yes. So if the Supreme Court has given a judgment, why has this not been reinforced?
Yeah, that gives you some of the reasons why you see sometimes we have to take the extreme point of shutting down the system because, at times, society is not as straight. Yeah, because like you rightly pointed out, what else will anybody expect if you had a Supreme Court judgment? Who now? Why should a government, a system, allow such an organization to be operating in the country? If he has to disobey, because every day, we shout on government, oh, you have to obey court rulings. Here, a company is not obeying court rulings, Supreme Court ruling, and it's running in the country. Now, is it their lawyer who have done the one he should do as lawyer, Femi Falana, and got them judgment? Or is it the worker? So when the people restore to self-help, assuming those people restore to self-help, or the other people join them to restore to self-help, you cannot guarantee how they will go for self-help. It could lead to destruction of things.
Exactly.
And they will be arrested and maybe imprisoned. But now somebody is disobeying the law and is not being punished.
Yes, we have one more caller. Your name and where are you calling from? Happiness.
Hello?
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Kaduna.
Okay,
Hello?
what's your contribution?
Hello?
I
I think we have 2 calls.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I think we actually have 2 calls. Okay, Happiness calling from Kaduna. What's your contribution to the conversation?
Hello. My contribution. Are you hearing me? Hello. My name is Igbinedion.
Okay, we
Calling from.
have a mix-up with the lines.
name
I'm
is
so
Yuri
sorry.
Robert.
I'm so sorry. I have a mix-up with the lines. So what we'll do now, thank you so much for coming on today's program. Technical issues, it happens. We'll take a short break right now. When we return, the entertainment and social media segment of the weekend show. Don't go anywhere. You could still share your thoughts and your experiences with us on social media at Weekend Show NG on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.